The Sufi mystic Rumi once said, "You were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life? Have you ever felt like you don't quite belong? Maybe you've always felt like an outsider, as if the world is moving to one rhythm but your soul is dancing to another." This sensation can be deeply unsettling, but from a spiritual perspective, it carries profound meaning. You see, the feeling of not fitting in is often a sign that your soul is vibrating at a different frequency, preparing you for a journey of awakening and growth. But if you don't learn the truth behind it, you might never feel at peace living in society. Ready to find out the real reason why you don't fit in? You have an old soul. Let's start with the idea that you might be a soul with an ancient purpose. In many spiritual teachings, individuals who feel out of place in their physical environment are often referred to as old souls. These are people who have experienced multiple lifetimes or levels of existence, accumulating wisdom and perspectives that don't necessarily align with societal norms. The world around you, bound by materialism, competition, and superficial values, may feel alien compared to the depth of insight your soul craves. Being an old soul is often seen as a spiritual marker that transcends just a personality type. It refers to a deeper wisdom that seems to be inherent in certain individuals. These people often feel disconnected from the typical concerns of their age group, finding more meaning in introspection, deeper conversations, and life's big questions rather than fleeting trends or surface-level pursuits. An old soul often feels like they've been here before, as though they've accumulated knowledge and experiences over lifetimes, even if this is their first encounter with the concept. In some Eastern philosophies that include reincarnation, the concept of an old soul is associated with having lived multiple lifetimes, each one adding to the layers of wisdom and understanding. So how do you confirm that you're an old soul? You might find yourself naturally drawn to quiet reflection, solitude, or spiritual practices that connect you with something greater than the physical world. While others may be focused on status, wealth, or competition, you find joy in the simple, eternal aspects of existence: love, compassion, growth, and understanding. This outlook can make fitting and challenging at times, but it also points toward a profound purpose. You are here to offer wisdom and perspective to a world that often gets lost in trivial pursuits. Old souls often find themselves in relationships or friendships where they play the role of the mentor or guide. Even as children, they might have been described as mature beyond their years, able to understand complex emotional dynamics or offer comfort to those around them. Their sensitivity to others' feelings and their intuitive grasp of life's mysteries often draw people to them, seeking advice or solace. The feeling of not fitting in that often accompanies being an old soul is not necessarily a sign of isolation, but a reminder that your journey is unique. In some spiritual traditions, old souls are believed to come into the world with a particular role or purpose. This could be to help guide others, bring healing, or act as a catalyst for spiritual change. By embracing your role as an old soul, you can find peace in knowing that you're here for a reason, even if the path feels different from those around you. But whether you're an old soul or not, it could be that the reason why you don't fit in is something far deeper, something certain special people go through but don't truly comprehend: your changing old identities. This dissonance can be a sign that you are in the process of shedding outdated identities, roles, or personas. In other words, you're moving through a phase of spiritual transformation where the things that used to define you, your career, relationships, or even personal achievements, no longer feel like they fit. As you shift toward a more authentic version of yourself, these old layers begin to fall away, and with them, the sense of belonging to the world as it once was. These aspects of your life, such as your career, relationships, or achievements, may have once served a purpose, helping you navigate the world, but now they no longer align with who you are becoming. This can create a feeling of unease or detachment, as though the life you once fit into no longer reflects the person you are now. As you move closer to your authentic self, you may feel a sense of shedding these outdated layers, much like a snake shedding its old skin to make room for new growth. It's not just about physical or external changes, but an internal shift in how you perceive yourself and your purpose. This shedding process can be uncomfortable, as the familiar structures you once relied on no longer offer the same sense of identity or security. You may feel like a stranger in your own life, disconnected from old friends, routines, or ambitions that once felt so important. This serves an essential purpose, though. It acts as a catalyst for transformation. By letting go of these old layers, you are making space for the new and more authentic aspects of yourself to emerge. In spiritual terms, this could be described as a process of ego death, where your false self, built on external validation and societal expectations, dissolves, allowing the true self to shine through. During the transition of realizing you don't fit in, many people experience a form of existential anxiety. Kierkegaard referred to this feeling as angst, which is not necessarily negative. In fact, he saw it as a sign that the person was beginning to awaken to the deeper questions of existence. Angst, in this context, reflects an awareness of the choices one must make, especially the choice between living according to others' rules or creating your own path. During this phase, you might also start questioning the roles you've played in your personal or professional life. Perhaps you've identified yourself through your job, family roles, or social status, but now those roles feel like masks rather than genuine expressions of your inner being. As you evolve, you may find that these roles no longer align with your values or your vision for the future, and the dissonance you feel is a signal to reevaluate and redefine your path. This can lead to a period of isolation or feeling lost, but it is important to understand that this is a natural part of the transformation process. This is what will eventually lead you to realize your true purpose. This is such an important purpose that after discovering it, you'll feel like your whole world has been flipped upside down. You're here to break societal molds. In a spiritual sense, not fitting in could also indicate that you're here to break certain societal molds. Think about it. Those who have created the most change in the world were often seen as outcasts or rebels. This is because they weren't bound by conventional thinking. If you feel disconnected, it might be because your soul's purpose is to pave the way for new ideas to challenge the status quo or to introduce alternative ways of being. You may be here to guide others toward higher consciousness, and sometimes that means standing apart from the crowd. Additionally, this feeling can emerge when you are not living in alignment with your highest self. The highest self is the truest, most authentic version of who you are at your core, beyond ego, fear, or societal conditioning. It's the part of you that is deeply connected to your soul's purpose and the universe's greater plan. Living in alignment with your highest self means following your inner truth and acting from a place of wisdom, compassion, and love. When you stray from this alignment, you may feel disconnected or lost. But there are ways to reconnect as long as you realize it on time. It's as if your inner compass is telling you that you're not on the right path, and this discomfort is urging you to rediscover your truth. Spiritual practices like meditation, reflection, and journaling can help you get back in touch with the deepest part of yourself, which already knows where you're supposed to go. In many esoteric traditions, this sensation of isolation is described as part of the trials of the soul. This is a period where the soul undergoes intense trials and transformations. It may feel like a spiritual crisis, but it's actually a deep purging of all that no longer serves you. This cleansing allows you to emerge on the other side more in tune with your higher self, with a clearer sense of purpose and direction. Not fitting in may be an invitation for you to stop trying to conform to expectations that don't resonate with your true nature. It's a call to rise above the mundane and embrace your unique role in the larger spiritual tapestry. So how do you traverse through the trials of the soul without losing your mind? Here's how. The trials of the soul can feel as though life is unraveling, with things that once provided comfort or purpose no longer making sense. This can include shifts in relationships, careers, beliefs, and even personal identity. You may ask yourself questions like, who am I really? Or, what is the purpose of all of this? These moments of deep questioning can spark a crisis of meaning as the person grapples with the gap between their old life and the new life that is trying to emerge. These trials force you to confront parts of yourself that you may have long avoided, unhealed traumas, suppressed emotions, or limiting beliefs that prevent you from living authentically. You may start to question long-held beliefs about success or happiness, realizing that much of what you've been striving for is based on external validation rather than true inner fulfillment. During these periods of emotional upheaval, you might feel anxiety, despair, or even hopelessness. This can coincide with what's often referred to as the dark night of the soul, a time when your soul feels disconnected from your higher self, the divine, or the universe. It can feel like you're walking through a period of intense suffering, where every step forward is met with resistance, and there seems to be no clear path ahead. In the midst of these trials, it's natural to feel the urge to give up or retreat into old familiar patterns. The comfort of what's known feels safer than stepping into the unknown, but this is when your greatest internal battle occurs. The choice between retreating into your old self or persevering toward the new, more evolved version of yourself. For some, these trials manifest physically through health issues, financial instability, or external conflicts that seem to test your resilience. Others might experience them emotionally or mentally, with bouts of loneliness, depression, or existential dread. No matter how these trials appear, their purpose remains the same. They are catalysts for your personal transformation. At the peak of these trials, you may start to feel like you no longer fit in with the world around you. The things that once brought you joy may feel hollow, and you might feel like an outsider, unsure of how to re-engage with the life you once knew. This disconnection is meant to serve a higher purpose. It pulls you away from the distractions of the material world and leads you toward the deeper truths within. In this way, the trials strip away everything that's not essential, leaving only what's true and aligned with your spiritual path. As you move through these challenges, moments of clarity begin to surface. Insights about your true nature, your purpose, or the nature of reality itself become clearer. It's as though the fog of confusion slowly lifts, revealing a deeper connection to the universe and a sense of purpose that's not rooted in external achievements, but in inner peace and understanding. Regardless of your spiritual path, in the end, you'll realize the highest truth of all. You're not meant to fit in. Fitting in usually means adopting the beliefs, values, and behaviors of the majority, but a spiritual path leads to a deeper exploration of what's true for you personally. When someone realizes they're not meant to fit in, it's often because they've outgrown the conventional definitions of success, identity, or happiness. Conforming to society's expectations may feel like a betrayal of your soul's inner knowing. Instead of viewing this as a weakness, it's important to see it as a sign that you're evolving, growing, and stepping into a more authentic version of yourself. Many people experience a sense of discomfort when they realize they're not like everyone else. Questions like, why can't I just be happy doing what others do? Or, why don't I see the world the way my friends or family do? May start to surface. These questions can be unsettling but also enlightening. They are signs that your soul is pushing you to explore deeper truths. Your soul knows when you're living on the surface, disconnected from your true essence, and it uses these feelings as gentle nudges, or sometimes loud alarms to push you toward greater self-awareness. From a spiritual perspective, not fitting in could be an indication that you're being called to lead rather than follow, or to create your own path rather than walk one that's already laid out for you. Your inner compass begins to guide you away from the norm and toward what truly aligns with your purpose. In many spiritual traditions, those who don't fit in are often seen as the seekers, the healers, or the visionaries. In Eastern philosophy, for example, the concept of the wanderer or the outsider is respected, as it's often the ones who step outside the conventional who are able to see things more clearly. Similarly, in African spiritual beliefs, The idea of being different can signify that you're chosen to fulfill a unique purpose in life, one that may not be understood by those around you. As you come to terms with not fitting in, it's crucial to understand that this doesn't mean something is wrong with you. Instead, it reflects your soul's evolution and your readiness to embrace a path that might be unconventional but is true to your essence. The world may not always provide immediate validation for this, but the more you trust yourself and your journey, the more you realize that your dissonance with the world is part of what makes you special. Let's explore how a philosopher's ideas might expand on the notion that you're not meant to fit in. One philosopher who delved into the concepts of individuality and societal norms was Søren Kierkegaard, a 19th-century Danish philosopher. He argued that true authenticity is found by looking inward rather than conforming to the expectations of society. Kierkegaard believed that humans are often pressured to fit into social molds and to live according to what others expect. This pressure, he said, creates a disconnect between the person we truly are and the version we present to the world. Kierkegaard's philosophy of the leap of faith can be related to the idea of embracing personal truths and authenticity. It represents a choice that individuals must make to embrace their true selves, even when it means standing apart from the crowd. He viewed this leap as essential for personal and spiritual growth. The discomfort of not fitting in can be seen as an invitation to take this leap, to embrace the uncertainties of life while trusting that it will lead to a deeper understanding of oneself. According to him, authenticity is not achieved through blending in but through self-realization and standing apart. This dissonance with the world can also be seen in the works of Laozi, the ancient Chinese philosopher and founder of Taoism. Laozi taught that living in harmony with the Tao, the natural flow of the universe, requires letting go of rigid societal structures and embracing a life of spontaneity and authenticity. Like Kierkegaard, Laozi emphasized the importance of following one's unique path, even if it diverged from the accepted norms. In the Tao Te Ching, Laozi often speaks of the uncarved block, a metaphor for an individual's pure, unaltered nature. The block, before it is shaped by the tools of society, represents someone who is at one with themselves and the world. But once shaped by outside forces, it loses its essence. This metaphor aligns with the feeling of not fitting in. The uncarved block within you resists being molded by the expectations of society. Instead, it seeks to remain in its pure, authentic form, free from external pressures. Laozi's teachings suggest that following one's true path, even if it diverges from societal norms, can lead to deeper fulfillment. By embracing your true nature, even if it means standing apart, you are aligning yourself with the Tao and the natural order of the universe. Another way to view this feeling of isolation is through the lens of African spiritual beliefs, particularly in West African Yoruba traditions. These traditions often speak of a person's Aya, or spiritual head, which represents one's destiny and personal power. In Yoruba belief, each individual is thought to have a unique destiny that may not always align with societal expectations. A person who feels they don't fit in might be undergoing a process of rediscovering their true Aya, or destiny. This process can be uncomfortable, as it requires shedding societal labels and preconceived roles, but it ultimately leads to spiritual empowerment. In the Yoruba tradition, failing to honor one's Aya leads to feelings of discontent and unease, similar to the experience of not fitting in. But when a person acknowledges and nurtures their Aya, they step into a life that is more aligned with their true nature. This alignment brings a sense of inner peace and purpose, even if it means diverging from societal norms. It reflects the idea that you were never meant to fit in with the world's expectations because your destiny is uniquely your own. Ultimately, the spiritual truth behind why you don't fit in is that you are not meant to. You're here for something bigger, more aligned with the essence of who you truly are. Rather than seeing your feelings of alienation as a flaw, Recognize them as a signpost pointing you toward your deeper spiritual journey. You are here to fulfill a unique purpose, and by stepping into that role, you'll find a sense of belonging, not in the world's eyes, but within your own soul.